Hi, I'm Deborah Atkinson, and you're watching Flipping 50 TV, the place to reset, tune up, and prepare for your second and better half with the energy and the vitality that you want. In every episode, I answer questions from women just like you about what they're struggling with most, and I share how to move, how to eat to support it, and small daily flips that you can make to get the most results in the least amount of time. And I'd love to hear your question. Send it to me at flipping50tv.com. And if I choose your question, I'm going to send you some juicy gifts I'll tell you a little bit more about later. But even if I can't choose your question, I'll send you Muscles in Minutes. It's my guide to over 20 exercises with over 40 illustrations, just as a thanks for sending in your question. Today's episode is answering a question from Marsha that's brilliant. Marsha writes she's had this question, not necessarily a problem, for a long time. What's the efficacy of all those 30-day challenges? For example, 30 days of planks, 30 days of squats, or 30 days of push-ups. She adds, I know we need 48 to 72 hours of rest and recovery before hitting the same muscle groups. So how can a 30-day challenge be effective? Marsha, thanks so much for that brilliant question. I can tell you're a critical thinker, and we all need to be. When it comes to rest and recovery, it's one of the most overlooked pieces of exercise. So let's go talk about those 30-day challenges. All right, Mary, this was such a great question, and I know I've said that before, but I cannot tell you enough how glad I am that you asked. So here's the question: 30-day, yay or nay? What's the word? Well, there's no cut and dried answer. It's really about what we're talking about. But Mary was right on point when she said, okay, push-ups, say, or squats every day for 30 days. It kind of doesn't sound right when you know you need to recover and you need 48 to 72 hours. So let's think about that, because we often get confused, and I know some of my clients and students in the past have gotten confused about, okay, is it 24 hours recovery or 48 hours? And it's definitely 48. So that's the minimum. But what we're finding is older adults, and we don't know exactly where that starts, but definitely we can say in the second half, if you're flipping, that you probably will do better with 72 hours of recovery between exercises that take you to fatigue. So here's the conundrum with a 30-day challenge. If it's about getting you stronger or giving you more stamina or endurance, it's got to take you to fatigue. So if it takes you to fatigue, it requires that 48 hours of recovery. Days would be a lot. So we're talking about Monday. Wednesday would be the soonest you could work out again, but for adults over 50, you may actually find that Thursday and Monday are a better set. But let's talk about specific examples. So I've got a lot of friends and colleagues who do 30-day challenges, but they're intelligent. And here's what that means. It's not necessarily do push-ups every day or do squats every day. It's actually more of a let's do a lower body challenge, and they've done it smartly so that maybe Monday and Wednesday and Friday you're focusing on that lower body, but you're getting a full body routine with them, because Tuesdays and Thursdays, Saturdays, you're doing upper body and core in between. That's smart. And most smart 30-day challenges also incorporate some rest. What I'm going to do is give an example of a couple 30-day challenges that you could do the same thing every day. So I've done 30-day challenges in the Flipping 50 Cafe membership. It's your virtual gym, and I'm your virtual personal trainer. We do 30-day challenges about leafy greens, getting more greens in your daily diet. And we can do that every single day, because you should be doing that every single day, or it's about vegetables overall. And we also do 30-day challenges that are bone broth oriented. So we're talking about getting more collagen, getting more hydration to the right spots in your body. Those are very doable and great for you. So I'm going to give you one of my favorite exercise 30-day challenges. Most of us because we're either sitting or we're training hard or we're doing both. Get tight in our hips, and oftentimes that causes tightness in our hips that we're complaining about, or pain in our lower back that we don't realize is associated with the tightness in our hips. So I'm going to give you my series of 5 exercises. They're really just stretches that you can do every day. And if you do it for 30 days and then write me and tell me how you feel, I'd be thrilled. Let's go to the mat. Okay, so the first in this series, and the only one, is a standing position exercise. So I'm going to have you get in a lunge position, and what I want you to do is to sink down pretty low so your weight is on your front heel. And if you have trouble with your knees and you can't do this one, just skip and you'll go on to the next one. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to drop this knee down in back and then straighten the leg, but watch, not the rest of me, right? Just the knee down and then push straight back. At the same time, I want you to push forward in this hip so you're feeling that hip flexor opening. Just 3 times on that leg, and then we're gonna switch sides. Coming back and set it up. So get low and then bend the knee and push straight back, and you will definitely know you are not symmetrical. Hate to break the bad news, but one of these legs is probably gonna complain a little bit more than the other. Touch the knee down and then push straight back, just 3 times, and that's it. Now we're gonna come down to the floor. We do what I call the number 4 stretch. And if for some reason you can't get up and down off the floor, you can do this seated. And if you've ever done yoga, you may have done this one in a standing position. You can cross one ankle over the other, and you can do this seated in an upright position here. But what I'd rather that you do is lie back with me. We're gonna hold that knee across, and we're gonna do a total of about a minute on each side. So what I want you to do is to get this ankle all the way past this leg, this thigh, weave through. It's kind of like threading the needle, and pull that up. And if you feel a good stretch, but you feel like you could go further, you can take those hands underneath and then over the top of your knee, hold here. And if you feel like, well, I could go a little further, you're gonna hold on right here. I want you to be careful though about pulling your ankle. So keep that foot straight. Think about pulling your little toe toward the outside of your knee. And as you bring this in, you're feeling the stretch right here in what we call the piriformis. And if you know that muscle, you've heard it before, you may have also been to physical therapy. So if you don't know that name, I'm probably glad for you because you haven't been to physical therapy. Think about pushing your knee out and away from you on its own, not with your hands. So it's actually about activating that hip at the same time you're stretching. And then keep reminding yourself to bring it in a little bit closer as it subsides. The stretch is always going to get easier as you hold it. We're going to go to the other leg. So be ready, because this is a wake-up call. You get this leg crossed over, you pull it in from the bottom, and you will realize one of those legs is easier than the other. This is not my easier leg, just saying. So you're going to hold it right here. You could hold it on the top, or you could hold it down here, kind of holding the arm, but remember, not putting torque by pulling on the foot. You're gonna keep that ankle nice and straight, because our ankles get weaker as we age anyway. We don't need to cause more problems. Keep bringing this towards you at the same time you're pushing your knee away. And believe me, I know it may look like I'm not pushing that knee away, but I have a little work to do here. So are you hearing me? Hold on to this thought. This is a great time to put on some easy, slow music, because while we're holding a stretch, we tend to hold our breath. So let it go all the way out. Let your shoulders relax to the floor and keep just edging that stretch in. This knee is still coming in toward me, so I'm feeling a good stretch through that left hip for me. And then release and come down. Really important that that one is the precursor to the rest of your floor stretches. You're gonna take your right leg, cross it over your left. I'm gonna take my arms out to my side, both for support and so you can see what's happening. I'm gonna raise my hips up and move them over to the right side, because my right leg is on top, and then put them down. And all that did is bought me some range of motion. I'm now gonna let my legs fall over to the side. And really all I'm doing is letting gravity do the work. So you type A, if you're out there, no pushing, not right now. Just let it go and breathe. So if you can hang out here for a minute, gravity will gradually help these muscles right now that are gripping if you're a little tight. And you may feel the stretch through the hip. You may feel it through your side waist or your lower back. You may feel it a little bit more up here, and what I'd like you to do is to keep your shoulder blades down, your arms wide to the side, and then relax and breathe out. So a minute total, and for those of you that are feeling this is a big stretch, try putting some pillows on the floor before you get there and prop your knees up over here a little bit. If this is a big stretch, carefully support yourself as you come up and out of it. So back to the other side, left leg up and over, arms wide, hips up, move your hips to the left side and let them fall over to your right. Now keep in mind, my shoulder blades I'm trying to keep down, so we're actually trying to get a little stretch by keeping the upper body facing upward and letting the lower body rotate. So it's a great spinal rotation without any pressure, without any force. Gravity's doing all the work for us. Again, pillows could be right under here. If this feels like it's a little too much, breathe, no pushing. Could be through the hip, could be through the side, could be through the lower back, could be you're not feeling much of a stretch because you already are fairly mobile, and that's okay too. Little things are probably still happening internally, so let it happen. And once you've spent a minute on this side, you're gonna carefully come out and come back to the middle. And this one, I call legs falling. You're gonna move your feet about the width of your yoga mat. And if you don't have a yoga mat, imagine that. A little wider than hip width apart. And you're gonna let both legs fall to the same direction. So in my case, go with me to the left side. And if you get here and you feel a stretch, you're letting the legs fall, you're keeping your shoulder blades and the shoulder down on the opposite side, then that's enough. If you don't feel a stretch yet, you're gonna take your left heel and put it on your right knee. So now you've got a little leverage and weight drawing down through this hip, and you may feel a greater stretch either through the front of the hip or through the side, kind of wrapping around to that lower back. All those muscles that really are very static, and they get a little stuck when we sit all day, and or if you spend a lot of time running in the same position, you spend a lot of time bicycling in the same position, or you insert your favorite activity. We tend to get stuck in our habits. So it's good to stretch in different ranges of motion. Slip that heel off if you have it there. Carefully come up and out and start with your feet wide. Let's go to the other side. Drop it to the side, and if you're feeling a stretch over here, and don't compare it to the other side, just take this stretch into account. Then you're fine, but if you need to go further, that heel comes back up, you're drawing down, breathe through this, just let yourself stretch. So I'm feeling that stretch now all the way down the front of that hip flexor and around my hip and lower back. A little bit better, but it's not too much. You need to know when you're gone too far. Stay right here, breathe through, shoulder blades down, and let yourself take a few deep breaths. I'm convinced that some of the reasons some of us go to yoga is so that somebody tells us to breathe in and breathe out deeply, more so than we do all day. From here, go ahead and bring this one up and out, and let your back come to a flat back position. Nice job. Release. Go ahead and take your legs out, straight in front. And you're gonna do one final exercise with me. For this, you may want some padding. If you're not on carpet, grab a pillow or your mat so you can roll it up, and you're gonna wanna go to the wall with your shoes off. Now, if you're out there watching and you're really fashion conscious, I'm totally aware that my socks do not match my outfit, okay? You're gonna put your knee on the padding, so make sure that you've got it close enough to the wall so that you've got a little latitude. You're gonna take one leg up the wall, and you guessed it, the name of this stretch is leg up the wall. The other leg comes out in front, and what you're gonna do here is lean forward and lean in. If you need something to elevate you just a little bit higher, so you're comfortably supported, but your hands are higher than the floor, go ahead and just find a book, coffee table, or like this, a foam roller. Works for me too. You want to be leaning in with your hip, and it at first may not want to. So let those muscles release and lengthen before you try pushing. Gravity ideally is doing almost all the work here. So keep breathing through, let that open up, and imagine how many hours you spent with this flexed in a chair. Give it a little time to open back up. You're gonna spend about a minute right here, just relaxing. You can see why having your shoes off really helps get your foot up the wall. So part 2, same side, and we're gonna come up. And this is where the mat comes in really handy. Where some of you might be looking and saying, I don't think I can do that on my knee. You may be surprised that you're actually on the top of your kneecap, not on top of it. You're just above it on the floor. When you come up, what you want to avoid is being upright, but being flexed here. So the goal would be we get you long and then move you up and back closer to the wall. Shoulder blades are back. I want you to think about reaching your knee down to the ground. And I can tell you that right now, you didn't see any movement, but when I reached my knee into the floor, I felt a great big stretch right here. Then if you want it, you can take this arm up and reach. So you're doing a whole front of the body kinetic chain stretch. Open up, hands can go back to the wall, and by hands, I mean both. And if you're not comfortable with that, try keeping them down, but still opening the chest just a little bit more. And you're gonna spend about a minute right here as well. And release. Other leg. So we've got to do equal time on both sides. Remember what I said? You're not quite symmetrical. So don't expect this one to feel exactly the same, but it is the same approach. Lean forward, support yourself if you need to, using something to get you a little more elevated. And then exhale. And every time you deeply exhale, you give yourself the opportunity to let those muscles relax and lengthen. So no pushing. All that's telling you is that your breath out signals your body that you can relax. You can trust me. We're not pushing, we're not forcing. We're just gonna let happen what wants to happen. Once you've spent a minute right here, you're gonna climb up and lift up. And again, drive your knee down into the floor, still pressing forward through your hip, keeping this tucked in, and just hold on to that and let yourself release. So this whole series, doing each stretch on your left and on your right, takes about 8 minutes. In 8 minutes a day, you can change the way your hips and your lower back feel. This got me through marathon training without any tension, without any soreness after those long runs, and injury-free. I guarantee you it works. Hold this. When I was 24, I was thrown from a horse onto a pile of wood, and I recovered from a pretty severe back injury in about 3 months, but I've had that little ache and pain reminding me my whole life since that there's something there. But I'm convinced if you take care of it, sometimes a weakness can become a strength. And so it is with you. And I'll see you on the flip side. Marsha, thanks again for asking that question, and I hope all of you watching got something out of that so that you can choose better the exercise that's right for you. And now I'd love to hear your question. Do you have a challenge or just a thoughtful question about something in that overwhelming infobesity out there about exercise? Send me your question to flipping50tv.com, and if I choose your question for the show, I'll send you a full-size trio of skincare products from Anne-Marie Skincare, and you'll get access to the After 50 Fitness Formula for Women, my signature course, plus I'll send you a copy of You Still Got It, Girl, the book. And even if I can't choose your question, I'm going to send you right away a thanks by sending you Muscles in Minutes, the guide to exercises that'll get you the most results in the least amount of time. And if you've got cellulite, you're going to like it. What are you waiting for? Head over to flipping50tv.com and send me your question. And I'll see you on the flip side.